it's Jessii Vee, and welcome back to yet another episode of Missing. So remember last time I was talking about how I'd really like to talk about a case where someone went missing for a long period of time and then came back with a strange story. Something maybe paranormal even. So I finally found a case like that, and trust me, there are a million cases like that, so there are so many we can talk about. But today we're specifically talking about one of those cases where a man went missing for 15 months. People thought he was never gonna come back, and then one day he just showed up and he had a crazy story to tell. And this happened in an area called the Lake Michigan Triangle, and there have been so many strange events that have happened within this triangle, and it's so weird because I feel like there are a ton of places around the world called the blank triangle, and there's always so many paranormal events that go on within these triangles, so I want to cover them all eventually, but today we're talking about the one in Michigan. But before I get into today's video, I just want to remind you I am wearing my unicorn necklace once again today because I'm filming 2 videos in one day, like I usually do. This unicorn necklace is a new part of my merch line, and on the very back where the clasp is, it has a Jessii Vee charm on it, and I'll try and get up close and personal like I did before, but it's such a sparkly unicorn necklace. I absolutely love it. I've got so many comments on this, and it is limited edition because we only have a small amount of stock for right now at least, so keep that in mind if you want to get one. The link is down below in the description, but I love it so much. I'd really love to continue doing necklaces for my merch line, like maybe a couple times a year, because I love necklaces. Oh, and also before I forget, next week I am going to be announcing the winner for this backdrop behind me. So if you have not entered to win this backdrop, don't worry, you're not too late, but I am announcing it next week. All you have to do is subscribe to my other channel called Vee Vlogs. The link is down below in the description. And then after you've done that, you have to go to the video titled A Bulldog Fashion Show, comment your favorite outfit of Winnie's, and that's just 2 steps and you're entered, and yeah, you might win this backdrop behind me. I also can't wait for the next backdrop. Like, I'm always so excited for the end of the month because I cannot wait to like change my backdrop. I just love how every month it's like a fresh new feel, you know what I mean? I just snap my fingers. Fresh new feel. Anyways though, let's jump into the video. Today we're gonna be talking about the mysterious disappearance of Stephen Kubacki and his odd reappearance 15 months later. I'm still just so blown away by this. Imagine one of your family members being gone for so long that you literally have no more hope and they show up again, and it happens very often, but I just can't imagine being in his shoes or in his family's shoes. That's just so crazy to me. One of the strangest missing person cases ever recorded in the USA is that of Stephen Kubacki. Stephen Kubacki went missing for 15 months without a trace. It is then claimed he woke up in a field wearing strange clothes with no memory of the previous 15 months. Okay, can I just say this is my worst fear ever? Imagine 15 months going by and you have no recollection of it at all, and you just wake up with someone else's clothes on. Oh my gosh, that is just a nightmare that nobody would ever want to experience. In February 1978, Stephen, a student at the time learning German, went missing in the Michigan area. It was an area known as the Lake Michigan Triangle. Now, most of the cases that I have talked about have been so far from where I live now, but Michigan is not that far from my house. Like, yeah, it's quite a drive, but I can get there within a day. So it always freaks me out the closer that these like paranormal triangles are to me. I wonder if there are any in Canada. That would be crazy. The Lake Michigan Triangle, sometimes referred to as the Michigan Triangle, spans from Manitowoc, Wisconsin to Ludington, Michigan, and south to Benton Harbor. The triangle has accounted for numerous mysterious events beginning in 1891. So this has been happening for a very long time. 1891 is a long time ago. So the first thing that ever happened in this triangle was when a man named Thomas Hume set off across Lake Michigan for lumber. What he didn't know is that he wouldn't be returning. He disappeared along with his crew of 7 sailors. Not even a trace of the boat was ever found. And that also freaks me out because there have been a lot of instances where sailors go out in the middle of this lake and their boats are never found, and neither are they. It's like they just disappear in the middle of this lake. But let's talk talk about what happened to Steven. Before he went missing, Steven said he was going to go skiing. He was reported missing by his worried family a day after he was due to return from the trip. After he went missing, search teams scouted the area he was known to have headed to. They found his skis and his poles on the beach of Lake Michigan and footprints on the ice leading up to the lake. This must have really confused people, because imagine looking for someone who went missing and you find the skis, but then you see his footprints heading out to the middle of a frozen lake. People don't usually just walk out onto ice, especially a lake that's not normally skated on. I don't even know if people ever skate on this lake. While searching for him, the rescue crew flew over the area, and it was reported that his footprints appeared to stop at the edge of the ice. The ice was unbroken, and a search of the area revealed no clue as to what had happened to Steven. So his footprints were just walking across this lake and suddenly stopped. And the ice wasn't broken, so he couldn't have fallen through. The footprints just stopped and he vanished. Later that day, they found his backpack in the same general area as his skis. No other evidence or sign of Steven could be found. It appeared he had just vanished into thin air. Now, the return of Steven really freaks me out, and there are not a lot of answers as to what exactly happened to him, because as I said, he has no recollection. All he knew was what he returned with, and a lot of the stuff that he had were not his. May 5th, 1979, 15 months later, Steven walked up to his father's door, rang the doorbell, and was surprised to discover he had been missing for so long. Steven said to his father that he didn't remember much. So he wakes up in an area that he's not familiar with and immediately goes to his parents' house, which honestly is something I would definitely do as well. And imagine you thinking you maybe fell asleep overnight and your parents were like, no, you were gone for over a year. Imagine how mind-blowing that would be. So this is all that he knew. Steven had woken up in Pittsfield, 40 miles from his father's house, lying in a meadow wearing clothes that weren't his. He had a small satchel beside him with maps that weren't his. Where he woke up was 700 miles from Lake Michigan. This is absolutely insane. 700 miles from where he was last skiing. He had random maps that he had no idea whose they were, what they were for. He was wearing someone else's clothes and he could not remember. Reporters asked him repeatedly if he would talk to someone. He said he didn't need to because he didn't have any psychological problems and nothing to say about the time he was missing. It was driving reporters crazy because it was such an interesting story, and these reporters wanted to like make a whole news segment on it, but he had nothing to say. All he could say was, I literally don't know, guys. I don't know what happened to me. So they were trying to get answers out of him, but he literally couldn't answer them. After 1983, Steven got a master's in linguistics and a PhD in clinical psychology. So there was nothing wrong with him mentally. He just lost 15 months of time, but he was a really intelligent man. Nothing was wrong mentally with him. And that's what really confused people, because they couldn't understand how such a crazy event could happen to someone and him not have any psychological damage. But yeah, that's all the answers that I could gather about him and what happened to him. It drives me crazy not being able to know, and I'm sure it drives him even crazier not being able to know what happened to him. I don't know how you could live a normal life after that. There are a lot of speculation online, and a ton of people are pointing to aliens, which I guess could make some sense. I mean, if he disappeared into thin air and was taken so far away and just basically dropped in the middle of a field, a lot of people think it was aliens. Let me know what you guys think. I literally cannot come up with something in my head that makes sense, but do you think it was something paranormal? Because obviously I'm always open to stuff like that. So there was also another huge disappearance that happened at the Michigan Triangle, and it was the disappearance of Northwest Flight 2501. Now, it's weird because I have actually never heard of this event until now, and it seems like a really huge event. When a plane goes missing, that's a really big deal. So I'm going to quickly talk about that case. One of the most mysterious cases over Lake Michigan happened in 1950 when Northwest Airlines Flight 2501, which was carrying 58 people, crashed into Lake Michigan. And what's crazy is that the plane was never found. It crashed into the lake and was never found. A plane was never found in the water. You know how big planes are? So this is the last thing that anybody ever heard from the pilot. The pilot had just requested to descend to 2500 because of a severe electrical storm which was lashing the lake with high velocity winds, and that's when the plane disappeared from radar. To this day, the plane wreckage has not been found, and the cause of the crash remains unknown. About 2 hours after the last communication with Flight 2501, 2 police officers reported seeing a strange red light hovering over Lake Michigan, and this red light disappeared after 10 minutes, leading some to believe a UFO was to blame. So once again, people are blaming aliens for this disappearance. And I'm pretty sure a lot of these cases, people have said it's aliens, which is so bizarre to me. Either way, this case was extremely unfortunate. There was 58 people that just went missing, and that's terrible. And it just creeps me out. Like, mysteries always leave me feeling so uneasy, which I'm sure is the same for everybody else. Anyways though guys, that's all I'm gonna talk about today. Please give this video an upvote if you enjoy this series, if you want me to make more, and let me know if you prefer cases where people vanish and are never heard of again, or do you prefer cases where people vanish for a long time and then come back? Definitely let me know which one you prefer. But thank you guys for watching this video. Don't forget the unicorn necklace is linked down below in the description, and I love you guys so much. Have a good day, and yeah, bye!